All right, so I'm very excited because I'm not exaggerating when I say that this feast day last year was the most powerful Mass I celebrated for that entire year. And what I really want to do for the homily today is I just want to remind you of how this makes sense, the Immaculate Conception of Mary, because last year was the first year of my life that I fully understood it. It just clicked. And if you went to Mass with me last year, I'll give you a refresher. If you went to Mass at a different church, hopefully I'll have something to contribute to your spiritual life today. So the Immaculate Conception of Mary means that she was sinless for her entire life. This is one of the most difficult things about our Catholic faith to explain to non-Catholics. Because Mary's always been a bit of a sore spot on that. But I think for the most part, the basics are fairly easy. It's relatively easy for us to say, no, we're not worshiping Mary. We've been saying that for 2,000 years. This is the fourth commandment. Honor your mother and father. Honor the mother of Jesus. It really is that simple. But then we start saying things like, oh yeah, and by the way, Mary was literally sinless for her entire life. Credit where credit's due. It's fair that Protestants have confusion on that. And I remember 2005, maybe, when I was very seriously starting to think about joining the seminary, becoming a priest. I actually remember I was grilled by one of my friends on that, because that's what happens when you want to become a priest. Everything you believe will be challenged by someone. That's part of the process. And I remember saying, I just don't know. It doesn't fully make sense to me. I'm trusting in the church and I'm trusting in God. And by the way, that is not a wrong answer. I admit it's an unsatisfying answer, but if you're ever in that position, it's never wrong to say, I'm sorry, I don't really understand this either. The important thing is that I am trusting in God. That is such a better answer than just making stuff up for fear of looking weak. Don't do that. There's plenty in the world like that without us contributing to it. So it's okay to say we don't understand every single detail. And then last year, it finally clicked for me. I was reading something. I forgot exactly what I was reading. But here is how it makes sense. The critical piece of information we need to bear in mind is this. The holiness of God cannot be compromised. The holiness of God cannot be compromised. And it just clicked. That's why we have a tabernacle made of gold. You don't keep God in a cardboard box. All right? If the hosts of the Eucharist really are Christ, then we need to give him a proper home of due respect. It's just like the Ark of the Covenant. We're talking about theology that goes all the way back to Moses. The holiness of God is not compromised. So if you've got God, you got to give him due honor. And there is common sense here. If the Queen of England came to your house unannounced, I'm choosing a non-American celebrity just to keep things nice and simple. Everybody likes the Queen of England. Queen of England drops by your place unannounced. Ignore the fact that that'll never happen. And she wants a cup of tea because it's the Queen of England. I don't know what your kitchens look like, but I'll bet you that if you have one scrap of hospitality in your soul, you are not going to serve a cup of tea to the Queen of England in a paper cup. You will give her the best cup you have in the house. Probably not what she's used to, but I mean, for my, kitchen, I would joyfully give her my Mystere glass from Cirque du Soleil, and I would explain, I'm sorry, Your Highness, this is actually a pretty worthless glass by your standards. That's my best glass because it's a very happy memory of me and my father when we saw Cirque du Soleil on spring break when I was in college. Please be careful with it. It's my favorite glass. It's not made of gold, but it's the best one. It's like that. People keep saying, Father Justin, we want the precious blood back. Can we please have disposable cups? And I say, correctly, by the way, no, that doesn't work in the church. The holiness of God can't be compromised. You can't put Jesus in a plastic shot glass. It needs to be a silver shot glass, at the very least. So we're talking about that and all of that. Anyway, we have to honor God to the best of our ability. And as Catholics, we don't care about things nearly as much as people. So God, when he is fully incarnated, he's not in a box. He's in a person, Mary, his mother. And just as the tabernacle can't be a cardboard box, it's got to be gold, it's got to be valuable, Mary is, the container, if you will, the container of God, the tabernacle of God. She can't be the equivalent, the human equivalent of a cardboard box. She needs to be radiant with holiness in her own way. And so, the teaching of the church is that Mary was immaculately conceived. She was sinless for her entire life because she carried God within her, and that gives her a special, unique quality of holiness worthy of containing the holiness of God. I hope that makes sense to you. Once I got that, the holiness of God cannot be compromised, it all clicked for the first time in my life. And we believe that Mary was sinless because she was that close and that special to God himself.